Scotty here from Girls of Geek 12. I am honored, privileged to be sitting with the writing duel of Harris Gray. We have Jason and we have Allan. And sitting in their coffee shop for some strange reason, because I guess we have beer as well. Does that seem about right?
We do have beer.
We do have beer. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I have to figure out what got you gentlemen into writing.
Originally, Allan was a customer in my coffee shop, and he wrote a lot. And, well, he eavesdropped a lot on my conversations. And so I eavesdropped a lot in his writing. And then when he'd go to the restroom, I would write in the margins and stuff. I would edit for him and add scenes to his books and his writing. And then he'd come back and I wouldn't say anything. And then pretty soon he realized I was writing stuff for him to read.
Originally, my because I'm pretty quick and efficient in there. Jason didn't have enough time, so then I'd see X-Lax wrappers behind the counter. So I started to catch on after a while what was going on, and so just before I was ready to report him, I took a look and read some of the creepy writings, and it was pretty good.
Okay.
And there were some nice edits. So and with so Jason's a storyteller. His customers would come in, he would tell stories. I would pick up a little bit here and there, and find, so I said, just in case something happens to you, because a lot of his stories involve reckless activities. So just in case something happens to you, you should write this stuff down. And just see where it goes. And so one day, in fact, I think probably the next day, I got a little yellow notepad just crammed full of Jason's stories. So I typed them up and handed them to him, and kind of our style, edited them back and forth. So that was our first book, kind of semi-published, was a collection of Jason's stories from his youth, growing up fishing with his dad, parasailing with the Fan Man, breaking out of jail.
Yeah.
Those kind of stories.
I think there's something here to the breaking out of jail. Jason, elaborate.
Well, and it's a little bit of embellishment. I mean, as far as I didn't really break out of jail. I was in line to get processed for jail, and in line waiting, and then next to the waiting line, it's in Washington State, but I'm not going to tell you what city, but in line to get processed, I had saw a waiting room, and I had went in there. I was underage, and I went in there waiting room to call my sister to try to bail me out, and I noticed there was a window there, and the window kind of opened sort of flat sideways, and I shimmied down and then jumped down and then ran, and that was it. I had the paperwork with me, and
we checked on the Renton, Washington statute of limit. Sorry, the Pullman? No.
Oh. Well, we'll call it
statute of limitations.
We'll call it Springfield. So, anybody up in Washington that's looking for Jason? He's not in Castle Rock.
No last names.
No last names at all.
The Harris Gray thing.
It just throws everybody off.
Yeah.
So, how long have you guys been really a duo?
I moved here in 2000. Jason's shop, Crowfoot Valley Coffee, opened in 1999.
I think we started writing together in 2002 or so.
That's about right.
Yeah, and then I think that both of us have quote real jobs, and so we just try to write in between that, and as time has gone on, we take it more and more seriously and trying to really do a good work at it and trying to actually get it out there.
Yeah. I had a book in mind at the time. At the time we put together the collection of Jason's stories, and we fished some more. And so this book that I wanted to write it as historical fiction. It was set back in 1900. A guy by the name of William Coley invented a cure for cancer. And truly did, using the immune system to attack the cancer, basically to wholesale attack the body and wipe out the cancer and practically everything else. I thought it was fascinating, so I wanted to find a way to write that story. And as Jason and I are starting to get a little thing going together, I realized the setting, bringing it to the modern day and setting it in a coffee shop with all the anecdotes that Jason had, all the exploits that he's had, that all that kind of works together to bring the story into the modern day and give the character in the story, the coffee shop owner in the story, cancer.
That works.
It sort of worked. Maybe not as much.
I was not a big fan.
No.
I kept trying to believe that it was fiction, and in my heart I knew it was nonfiction. And so I would wake up in the middle of the night knowing that I had cancer, and I would actually call Allan and say, Allan, I had one of those dreams. We got to figure this out. Maybe we can change the guy to some kind of clothes designer instead, or dry cleaner, something else, because this coffee shop guy is just way too close, And
now Jason, it's fiction, man. But tell me about that dream.
Yeah. So I had actual dreams about dying and stuff that we somehow Allan slipped into the book.
Okay. And then Jason would read that in the book, and then it just made things even worse when he'd read his own dreams and what was supposedly fiction.
So that it works. I mean, the writing back and forth. I would say that people ask us how we do it. We don't have a system. I mean, there are times that Allan will be 3 or 4 chapters in front, and I'll be 3 or 4 chapters behind. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm writing chapter 13 when he's on chapter 4, and we'll edit each other's work an awful lot. And I think for the most part, it works out really well. He'll take out things I put in, I'll put them back, and then he'll take them out, I'll put them back.
Sex scenes usually.
Yeah, usually the sex scenes.
Yeah. PG-13 at the most, Jason.
Yeah, well, we don't have a lot of PG books, but we're working on it.
We were talking before the interview. That's kind of the hallmark of not really having a hallmark, I guess, is our style, and the beauty of being a co-author is that the two of us, if one of us is stuck on something, chances are the other one is going to take off and run with it and just have a great idea, and just something I would never dream of. The angles that Jason takes, I would never dream of, and a lot of times I'll get it after I've written something I think is pretty good, and then I'll get Jason's edits back, and I'll think, what? That's completely wrong, and why did you cross that out? And so I'll throw a little temper tantrum, and my wife will have to live through that, and then the next morning I'll get up and be like, all right, now I'm gonna look at this so I can make some notes to tell Jason why he's so wrong, and then I realized, wait a second, that's not bad. That works. So that creative element that neither of us would do on our own is for me, it's just been wonderful.
That's great to hear.
No, it has, and like we've talked about before, is Allan for the longest time wrote by himself, and and people will ask us here and there, well, do you want to write by yourself or by yourselves? And we don't. I think that here and there we get asked to write something by ourselves, and we'd like to do that. But as a collaboration, we really enjoy it. I mean, I think that our biggest problem is that we actually have other jobs we have to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's probably the writers most of the writers out there actually can't make a living with their writing, and we'd like to someday, and that would be great. And I think that right now that's just our biggest issue is between work and family, and we have to squeeze in writing.
So that's always been tough. Does family really matter? No, I mean, really?
Sometimes after beer number 2 here at Jason's, not as much.